I sat motionless at my parents' mahogany dining table, watching my mother's perfectly manicured nails drum against the polished surface. The sound echoed through the room like a countdown to detonation. My brother Nash slouched in his chair, refusing to meet anyone's eyes, while my father paced behind him. I'm Samantha, and this was the moment I'd been waiting for. Another start-up failure, my mother Francesca spat, shoving a stack of papers across the table. 400,000 in debt. Your brother needs you to step up. Again. I picked up the documents, pretending to study them carefully. The numbers were staggering, not because of their size, but because of their predictability. Third failed tech venture in 5 years. Same pattern, different zeros. The trust fund, my father Daniel finally spoke, his voice carrying that familiar note of assumed authority. Your half needs to cover this. It's what family does. I kept my face carefully blank, the way I'd learned to do since childhood. My half? Nash finally looked up, flashing that boyish smile that had gotten him out of trouble since we were kids. Come on, Sammy. You know I'm onto something big this time. The app just needs more runway. More runway, I repeated softly. Like the last 3 times? My mother's hand slammed against the table. Don't you dare take that tone. Your brother is building something important. You're just... She paused, lips curling into a sneer. You're just the spare child, meant to fund his future. The words should have hurt. They would have 6 months ago, but now they just confirmed what I'd always known, what had driven me to act. Remember when I broke my arm in 8th grade? I asked, surprising them with the apparent non sequitur. Nash had his baseball tournament that weekend. Instead of taking me to the doctor, you made me sit in the bleachers for 6 hours, holding my arm, because Nash needed his support system. That's ancient history, my father waved dismissively. We're talking about now, about family loyalty. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. You're right, we are talking about loyalty. Nash leaned forward. So, you'll do it? Transfer the money today? I turned the phone around, showing them the trust account balance. 0. The silence was deafening. What? My mother's voice shook. What did you do? Nothing you didn't teach me to do, I replied calmly. I took care of my future, just like you always said Nash should. My father's face reddened. That money was meant to be shared, for both of you. Funny thing about Grandma Eva's trust, I continued, standing up slowly. There was a clause. If either beneficiary could prove independent legal standing and financial responsibility, they could petition for sole control. I filed the paperwork 6 months ago. It was approved 3 months ago. Nash jumped to his feet. You can't do that. I need that money. Get a job, I said, picking up my purse. Like I did, while funding your dreams with my half of every inheritance, bonus, and gift we ever received. My mother's voice turned sickeningly sweet. Darling, you're not thinking clearly. We can discuss this as a family. We are discussing it as a family, I cut her off. I'm just not playing my assigned role anymore. You ungrateful little... My father started, but I was already walking toward the door. The money's gone, I called over my shoulder. Legally, permanently, invested in something that will actually generate returns. You taught me well about financial planning when you were teaching Nash, of course. I just happened to be in the room. My mother's scream of rage followed me out to my car. I sat there for a moment, hands steady on the steering wheel, and allowed myself a small smile. The tsunami of calls and texts would start soon. The flying monkeys would be deployed. The family reputation management machine would kick into high gear. But for the first time in my life, I held all the cards. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend, Robin. Did you do it? Did you tell them? I typed back quickly. It's done. No going back now. Another buzz. My mother. What did you do? I started the engine, thinking about the years of being the family ATM, the emotional punching bag, the invisible support beam holding up the shrine to Nash's potential. They never saw me as more than a spare part in their perfect family machine. They were about to learn exactly how essential this spare part had been. As I pulled away from the house, my phone kept lighting up with increasingly frantic messages. I turned it off completely, enjoying the silence. The real storm hadn't even started yet, but for the first time in my life, I was ready for it. They wanted to talk about family loyalty. I'd show them exactly what I'd learned from their lessons. "You're telling me there's a loophole?" I'd asked Robin 3 months earlier, staring at the trust documents spread across her living room floor. "After all these years?" "Right here." Robin tapped the legal paper with her pen, her lawyer instincts in full force. "Your grandmother was clever. This clause isn't just boilerplate, it's specifically crafted. If either beneficiary can demonstrate financial independence and responsible management for 6 consecutive months," I leaned closer, reading the fine print, "they can petition for full control of the remaining trust assets." "Exactly." Robin sat back, watching me carefully. "Sam, this is your chance. You've been supporting yourself for years. Your investment portfolio is solid. You could qualify right now." I remembered pacing her apartment that night, my mind racing. "They'll fight it. Let them." Robin stood up, grabbing her laptop. "I've already talked to Quentin. You remember him, your grandmother's trustee? He's willing to review the petition." The memory shifted to Quentin's office 2 weeks later. He was exactly as I remembered. Silver-haired, methodical, with eyes that missed nothing. "Your grandmother was very specific about this clause," he said, reviewing my documentation. "She insisted it remain, even when your mother tried to have it removed." That made me look up sharply. "My mother knew about this?" "She did." Quentin's expression remained neutral. "She argued quite forcefully against it. Said it would destabilize the family dynamic." I laughed bitterly. "You mean it would destabilize her control?" "The petition is solid," Quentin continued, stamping several pages. "Once filed, there's a 3-month review period. During that time, maintain absolute silence about this. Any hint to your family could compromise the process." Back in the present, my phone buzzed again. Another voicemail from my mother. "Answer your phone this instant. Do you have any idea what you've done to this family?" I clicked play on the next one. "The trust manager must have made a mistake. Fix this now, Samantha. Your brother needs that money." And the next. "If you don't call me back in 5 minutes, you are no longer my daughter. Do you understand me? 5 minutes." I deleted them all and dialed Robin instead. "They know," I said when she answered. "How bad?" "Nuclear. My mother's already playing the disownment card." "Right on schedule," Robin replied. "Are you okay?" Before I could answer, my phone beeped with an incoming call. Quentin. "Hold on," I told Robin, switching lines. "Hello?" "Samantha." Quentin's voice was calm as ever. "Your parents just left my office. They're demanding the trust transfer be reversed." And I informed them that everything was done legally and properly. "The assets are now solely under your control." He paused. "Your mother didn't take it well." I could imagine. "Thank you, Quentin, for everything." "There's something else you should know," he added. "Something your grandmother told me to share, but only after the transfer was complete." My heart skipped. "What is it?" She knew this would happen, not the specifics, but the pattern. She told me, "Samantha will need this escape hatch someday. Make sure she finds it when she's ready." Tears pricked at my eyes. Grandma Eva had seen it all. The golden child worship, the financial manipulation, the slow erosion of my independence. She'd built me a lifeboat before I even knew I was drowning. My doorbell rang, startling me. Through the peephole, I saw Nash swaying slightly, clearly drunk. "Samantha," he shouted, pounding on the door. "Open up! We need to talk about this." I switched back to Robin's line. "Nash is here, drunk." "Don't open the door," she said immediately. "Document everything. Record if he makes threats." "Samantha!" Another pound. You can't do this to me. That money was supposed to be mine. I started recording on my phone as his tirade continued. You're ruining everything. My investors were counting on that backup funding. Do you know what this will do to my reputation? Your reputation, I called through the door. What about the reputation I built while bankrolling your failures? That's what family does, he shouted back. We support each other. No, Nash, that's what I did, while you took and took and took. His voice turned ugly. You think you're so smart? Mum's right. You're just the backup plan, the spare. You were never supposed to matter. I smiled, even as tears rolled down my cheeks. That's the thing about spare parts, Nash. Sometimes they're the only thing holding the whole machine together. I heard him slide down against my door, his voice breaking. Please, Sammy, I need this. I can't fail again. You already have, I whispered, but not loud enough for him to hear. And this time I won't be there to catch you. I stayed silent until his footsteps finally retreated, then sank to the floor myself, still clutching my phone. Robin's voice came through softly. You did it, Sam. You're free. But freedom, I was learning, came with its own kind of pain. The next morning I found my father waiting by my car outside my office building. He looked smaller somehow, his expensive suit wrinkled, his usual commanding presence deflated. We need to talk, he said as I approached. I'm late for a meeting. No, you're not. He stepped closer. I called your boss, told him it was a family emergency. My blood boiled. You did what? Sit with me, he gestured to a nearby bench. Please. I checked my phone. Sure enough, an email from my supervisor about taking the morning off. Even now, they were controlling my narrative. Fine, I said, sitting as far from him as possible. Talk. Your mother is devastated, he began. She hasn't slept. Nash's investors are threatening legal action. We need to make this right. Make what right? The fact that I legally claimed what was mine? He rubbed his temples. You don't understand the pressure Nash is under, the expectations you put on him, I cut in, while expecting me to fund them. We gave you everything, his voice rose. Private school, college. You gave Nash everything. I got student loans. I worked through college while he focused on his potential. I pulled out my phone, opening a spreadsheet. Want to see my records? Every dollar I've given him since we turned 18. It's over $2 million. His face paled. You kept track. Of course I did. I'm good with numbers, remember? Or did you forget that too, since it didn't fit your narrative about Nash being the business genius? A group of my co-workers walked past, trying not to stare. My father lowered his voice. What do you want? Name your price to release the funds. I laughed. You still think this is a negotiation? The money is gone, Dad. Invested, protected, legal. Gone where? His eyes narrowed. What did you do with it? Something smart. Something that will actually generate returns instead of funding another doomed startup. He grabbed my arm. You tell me right now. Let go, I said quietly, or I'll scream. Right here, in front of my office, in front of all these witnesses. How would that look for the family reputation? He released me like I'd burned him. You sound just like your mother, he spat. No, I stood up. I sound like someone who finally learned to fight back. Get a job, Dad, a real one. Stop living off your children. As I walked away, he called after me. He's your brother, your own blood. I turned back one last time. Blood doesn't excuse bleeding me dry. Inside my office, I found 3 emails from my mother, each more hysterical than the last. The final one was a single line. Quentin told us about your grandmother's clause. How dare you? My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was my cousin Felicity, who I hadn't heard from in years. Heard what you did. About time someone stood up to them. Call me. I was about to respond when my office phone rang. The receptionist's voice was apologetic. Ms. Grant, your brother is here. Tell him I'm in a meeting. He's already walking to your office. Nash burst in seconds later, looking worse than yesterday. His designer clothes were rumpled, his eyes bloodshot. "You have to fix this," he demanded. "My investors are pulling out. Everything I've built." "You mean everything I paid for?" He slumped into the chair across from my desk. "I would have paid you back once the app took off. Like the last 3 apps, the crypto venture, the NFT marketplace. I'm closed this time." He leaned forward. "Just need 3 months of runway. I'll sign a contract." "Your contracts mean nothing," I said, pulling out a folder. "Here's every IOU you've signed since we were 20, all worthless." He stared at the stack of papers, then laughed hollowly. "You really did keep receipts." "Someone had to. You know what's funny?" He ran a hand through his dishevelled hair. "You were always the smart one, the one who actually understood business. But they invested everything in me." "Not funny," I corrected. "Tragic. Help me one last time," he pleaded. "For old time's sake." I looked at my brother, really looked at him, the golden child, the chosen one, now reduced to begging in my office. "No," I said softly. "Get help, Nash. Real help. Learn to stand on your own." He stood up slowly, straightening his jacket with shaking hands. "Mom was wrong, you know." "About what?" "You weren't the spare," he said, walking to the door. "You were the backbone, and now we're all going to fall." After he left, I sat there for a long time staring at the folder of IOUs. My phone buzzed again, another text from Felicity. "There's something you need to know about Grandma Eva. Something Mom told me before she died. Can we meet?" I stared at the message, feeling the ground shift beneath my feet once again. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. I met Felicity at a quiet cafe across town, far from any of my family's usual haunts. She looked different from the last time I'd seen her, more confident, with an easy smile that spoke of freedom. "You look good," I said as she sat down. "Living abroad does that, away from all—" She gestured vaguely. "This." "What did you want to tell me about Grandma Eva?" Felicity glanced around before pulling out an envelope. "Mom told me this before she passed. Aunt Francesca, your mother, she wasn't supposed to be the executor of Grandma's estate." I felt my coffee go cold in my hands. "What?" "It was supposed to be you. Grandma specifically requested it. But Aunt Francesca overruled it somehow, got herself appointed instead." "That's not possible," I said. "The court would have—" "Look." She pushed the envelope across the table. Inside were copies of the original will documents with clear annotations naming me as executor. Mom kept these. She felt guilty about staying quiet. My hands shook as I read. "This changes everything." "There's more." Felicity leaned forward. "Check your credit report, now." I pulled out my phone, logging into my credit monitoring app. What I saw made my stomach drop. 3 credit cards I never opened, I whispered. 2 personal loans, all maxed out. "They did the same to me," Felicity said. "Used my identity for years. That's why I left the country." "But you," she pointed to the dates, "these are recent, since you took control of the trust." My mind flashed back to childhood memories, my mother making me sign papers I didn't understand, saying it was practice for being a businesswoman. "I need to call Robin," I said, already dialing. "Already on it," Robin answered immediately. "I've been monitoring your credit since this started. They've opened 5 new accounts in the last week alone." "Is it enough for criminal charges? Identity theft, fraud, financial abuse? Yes, but Sam, are you ready for that level of escalation?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Having a small gathering tonight. Your attendance is required. Family reputation at stake." Then another. "Don't make me tell everyone about your mental health issues." "They're trying to paint me as unstable," I told Robin and Felicity. "Classic move." "Fight back," Felicity urged. "I didn't, and I regret it every day." My phone kept buzzing. Flying monkeys deployed by my mother, distant relatives and family friends, all texting their concern about my emotional state. Aunt Margaret says you're having a breakdown, one cousin wrote. Your mother is worried sick about your erratic behaviour, typed a family friend. Robin was already in lawyer mode. I'm calling in favours. We'll have police reports filed by morning. Financial Crimes Unit loves cases with this much documentation. Do it, I said, my voice steady. All of it. Felicity squeezed my hand. There's one more thing. The estate in Switzerland, the one everyone thinks Aunt Francesca inherited. Check the property records. I looked up sharply. Why? Because Grandma Eva was playing a very long game, she smiled, and I don't think anyone knows the whole board yet. That evening I sat in my apartment with Robin, going through years of financial records. Each discovery was worse than the last. They used your identity to secure loans for Nash's startups, Robin said, highlighting documents. Multiple times. That's federal fraud. Look at this. I pointed to a series of transfers. Every time I got a bonus at work, money moved from my account to Nash's within hours. How did they even know? They had access to your accounts, Robin realised. Probably since you were a teenager. They never let go of the control. My phone lit up with another message from my mother. Last chance. Attend tonight or face the consequences. Go, Robin said suddenly. What? Go to their gathering, record everything, let them dig their hole deeper. I stared at the mounting evidence of decades of financial abuse. They'll try to ambush me. Exactly, Robin smiled grimly. And this time, you'll be ready. I thought about the young girl I used to be, signing papers without question, believing it was normal for family to take and take and take. Time to end this, I said, standing up. Be careful, Felicity warned. Aunt Francesca plays dirty when cornered. So do I replied, picking up my keys. She made sure of that. As I drove to my parents' house, my phone buzzed one more time. A message from an unknown number. This is Quentin. Don't delete any financial records. The FBI fraud division will need them all. I smiled, thinking of my mother's perfectly curated society gathering, about to implode. They wanted to talk about family reputation. Let's talk. The small gathering turned out to be a full-scale society event, my mother's specialty. 40 of our family's closest friends and relatives milled around the garden, all carefully selected for maximum impact. I recognised her strategy immediately, witnesses for whatever show she had planned. Samantha, darling, my mother's voice carried across the lawn, artificially bright. We were so worried you wouldn't come. Every head turned. The whispers started immediately. Poor Francesca, dealing with such a troubled daughter. I heard she's having some kind of breakdown, taking money from her own brother. I kept my phone recording in my pocket as I approached my mother. Her smile was razor sharp. Everyone's been so concerned, she said loudly. After your recent episodes, I matched her volume. You mean discovering the credit cards you opened in my name? Her smile flickered. Aunt Margaret swooped in, touching my arm with theatrical concern. Sweetie, we all know you've been under stress, she cooed, making up these awful stories. I pulled out my phone, opening my credit report. You mean these stories? Would you like to see the fraud alerts? Put that away, my mother hissed. Why? I turned to the gathering crowd. Afraid they'll see how you and Dad committed identity theft? Used my social security number for Nash's failed ventures? You're hysterical, my father cut in, appearing beside my mother. This is exactly what we're worried about. Is she having another episode? Someone whispered loudly. I laughed, the sound cutting through the manufactured concern. Let's talk about episodes, like the time you made me sign loan documents when I was 16. That's illegal, by the way. Enough! My mother grabbed my arm, manicured nails digging in. Nash emerged from the crowd, swaying slightly. Sammy, stop this. You're embarrassing everyone. No, I pulled free. I'm exposing everyone. There's a difference. Security Fraud Division, Robin's voice rang out as she walked through the garden gate. That's who's investigating the identity theft. Just thought everyone should know what's coming. My mother's face went white. This is a private event. You need to leave. Actually, Robin smiled. I'm here officially as Samantha's legal counsel, and I have some documents to share with the group. She pulled out copies of the credit reports, the fraudulent loans, the original will naming me executor, started passing them around. These are lies, my father sputtered, but his voice shook. The whispers changed tone. Those are real bank documents. Look at these dates. Multiple credit cards in her name. You want to talk about mental health? I addressed the crowd. Let's discuss the psychological impact of financial abuse, of being used as a human ATM, of having your identity stolen by your own parents. Stop this, my mother pleaded, her public mask cracking. Think about the family name. I am, I replied. I'm thinking about how you destroyed it yourselves. Nash lunged forward suddenly, grabbing my arm. You think you're so perfect, so much better than me. No, I said calmly, aware of every phone now recording us. I think I'm done being your backup plan. My father stepped between us, face red with exertion. You ungrateful... He stopped mid-sentence, clutching his chest. Daniel! My mother's voice turned shrill. He stumbled, gasping. The crowd erupted in chaos as he collapsed. Call an ambulance! Someone shouted. As people rushed around us, I stood still, watching the carefully orchestrated evening dissolve into panic. My mother knelt beside my father, all pretense forgotten, mascara running down her cheeks. Nash backed away, mumbling, This is your fault, all your fault. The ambulance arrived within minutes. As paramedics loaded my father onto a stretcher, my mother turned to me, her face twisted with fury and fear. Are you happy now? She spat. Is this what you wanted? No, I said quietly. This isn't what I wanted. This is what you created. Robin appeared at my side as my parents disappeared into the ambulance. You okay? No, I admitted, but I will be. The remaining guests scattered quickly, clutching their copies of the evidence, phones buzzing with messages spreading the news. By morning, everyone would know. Your father will be fine, Robin assured me. Probably just stress and high blood pressure. I know. I watched the ambulance drive away. But nothing else will be. My phone buzzed. Felicity. Saw what happened. Don't back down now. Check your email. I sent you Grandma Eva's Swiss property records. You're going to want to see this. I looked around the abandoned garden party at the scattered evidence of decades of manipulation and lies. Somewhere in the distance, I heard my mother's carefully constructed reputation crumbling. And for the first time, the sound didn't hurt at all. The hospital corridor smelled of disinfectant and stale coffee. I sat outside my father's room, waiting for my mother to finish her tearful performance for the nurses. Nash slouched in a chair opposite me, his designer clothes wrinkled from sleeping in the waiting room. He's stable, Nash said, breaking our hour-long silence. Just a panic attack, they said. Not a real heart attack. Good. Is that all you can say? He leaned forward. After what you did? What I did? I met his eyes. You mean expose the truth? You could have handled it privately, like you all handled stealing my identity privately. He flinched. I didn't know about that part. Not at first. When did you find out? Nash looked away. 3 years ago, when the crypto startup failed. Mum said they'd used your credit to secure some loans. I should have said something, but you didn't. I couldn't fail again, his voice cracked. Do you know what that's like, being the one they bet everything on? No, I said quietly. I was too busy being the one they took everything from. My mother emerged from the room, makeup perfectly refreshed despite her distress. The nurses need to check his vitals, she announced. Nash, go get some coffee. Samantha, a word. Nash shuffled away, leaving me alone with her. The police called this morning, she said, her voice low and dangerous. Financial Crimes Division. Are you happy now? Were you happy all those years forging my signature? We did what was necessary for this family. No, I corrected. You did what was necessary for Nash. I was just collateral damage. She sat beside me, smoothing her skirt. You were always so capable, so reliable. We knew you could handle it. Handle being defrauded? Handle supporting your brother's dreams, she snapped. You had no ambition of your own, no vision. You were just... The spare, I finished. I remember. A nurse walked past and my mother's voice dropped to a whisper. We can fix this, make the charges go away, return to how things were. They're federal charges, Mom. This isn't a society scandal you can smooth over with a party. Then why, she demanded, why destroy everything? I pulled out my phone, showing her the credit report. You destroyed it. Every time you forged my name. Every time you drained my accounts for Nash. Every time you chose him over basic human decency. He's special, she insisted. He just needs more time. He's 32, I cut in. How much more time does he need? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. It's over. The money's gone. The fraud is exposed. Nash needs to grow up and you and Dad need to face consequences. She stood up, straightening her designer jacket. We'll see about that. Your father and I still have friends in high places. Not anymore, I said, opening my email. These records are already with the FBI and the IRS and the media. Her face went pale. You wouldn't dare. I already did. Check tomorrow's financial papers. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Quentin. Package arrived. Everything you sent is now with federal investigators. My mother's hands shook as she read the message over my shoulder. You've ruined us. No, I stood up. I freed us, all of us, even Nash. I'll never forgive you for this. I know, I smiled sadly. But I finally forgive myself. Nash returned with coffee, looking between us warily. Everything okay? Tell him, I said to my mother. Tell him about the fraud, the identity theft, the illegal loans. Tell him what his dreams really cost. She turned away, silent. Mom, Nash's voice was small like a child's. What is she talking about? I handed him the credit report, watched his face crumble as he read. All those times you said the money was from family investments, he whispered. It was, my mother said sharply. Samantha is family. It was theft, he corrected, looking sick. All of it. My whole career is built on stolen money. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Your father's asking for you, Mrs. Grant. My mother straightened her spine, mask back in place. We'll discuss this later, as a family. No, I said, gathering my things. We won't. I left them there, my mother retreating into denial, Nash finally facing reality. As I walked out of the hospital, my phone buzzed one last time, an email from Quentin. Your grandmother left something else for you. A sealed envelope to be opened only after everything else was revealed. Come see me tomorrow. I stepped into the sunlight, feeling lighter than I had in years. Whatever was in that envelope, I was finally ready to face it. The spare child had become the last one standing. Quentin's office looked exactly the same as it had months ago when I'd first discovered the trust loophole. But this time I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Your grandmother was quite specific about the timing of this, he said, pulling out a thick envelope. She said, give this to Samantha when she finally stands up for herself. My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. Inside were several documents, a letter, and a key. Dear Samantha, I read aloud. If you're reading this, you've finally done what I never could, broken free from Francesca's web of control. Quentin sat quietly as I continued reading. I watched her do to you what she did to me, use money as a weapon, manipulate through guilt, always demanding more. I tried to protect you with the trust, but I knew that wouldn't be enough. So I left you something else, something Francesca doesn't know exists. I pulled out the property deed. The estate in Switzerland. Your mother thinks she inherited it, Quentin explained. She never checked the actual records. Because Grandma Eva transferred it to me 5 years ago, I whispered, reading the documentation, before she died. There's more. Quentin pointed to another document. It was a bank statement. 7 figures, in a private Swiss account. She built this for you, Quentin said softly. Every time Francesca demanded money from her, Eva matched the amount and put it aside. For you. I kept reading the letter. My darling girl, I saw your strength long before you did. How you protected Nash even while they drained you dry. How you built yourself up despite them tearing you down. This money isn't charity. It's what you should have had all along. Use it to build something for yourself, not for them. My phone buzzed. A news alert. The story had broken. Prominent family under federal investigation for financial fraud. Perfect timing, Quentin noted. Your grandmother would have appreciated that. Another document caught my eye. A business plan, written in Eva's elegant hand. A scholarship foundation, I realised, for young women trapped by financial abuse. She left the framework, Quentin confirmed, but the execution is up to you. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from Nash, my mother, my father. I turned it off. There's one more thing, Quentin said, pulling out a final envelope. This arrived from Felicity this morning. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Eva with a young me, at moments I'd forgotten. Science fairs my parents had skipped. Dance recitals they'd missed for Nash's games. My grandmother had been there for all of them. She knew, I said, tears falling. She saw everything. And she planned accordingly, Quentin smiled. The estate is fully staffed, by the way, ready whenever you want to visit. A knock at the door interrupted us. Robin burst in, grinning. It's everywhere, she announced. Every major news outlet. The FBI just froze all their accounts. How bad? I asked. Your mother's social circles are imploding. Your father's business partners are distancing themselves. Nash's investors are suing. I looked at the scholarship foundation plans. Good, time for something new to rise from the ashes. About that, Robin pulled out her laptop. I've been working on the legal framework for the foundation. We can have it operational within months. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Felicity. Saw the news. Karma's finally here. When are you coming to Switzerland? Your grandmother had one last request, Quentin said, pointing to the end of her letter. I read the final lines. Don't let them make you bitter, my darling. Use this to help others break free. That's the best revenge, turning pain into purpose. Robin squeezed my shoulder. Ready to build something real? I looked at the estate photos, the foundation plans, the evidence of my grandmother's years of quiet rebellion and preparation. The Eva Grant Foundation for Financial Independence, I said, helping women escape financial abuse and build their own legacies. Perfect, Robin grinned. Want to know the best part? It'll be announced the same day your parents appear in court. My phone lit up one last time, a message from Nash. I understand now what they did, what I let happen. I'm sorry. I picked up the key to the Swiss estate, feeling its weight in my hand. Time to go see my new home. Your grandmother would be proud, Quentin said quietly. No, I corrected him, gathering the documents. She knew this would happen. She just waited for me to be ready. As I walked out of Quentin's office, I felt lighter than ever. The spare child had become something else entirely. An heir to a different kind of legacy, one built on freedom, not control, and I knew exactly what to do with it. The Swiss estate's windows caught the morning light, making the entire mansion glow. I stood in Eva's old study, my study now, reviewing applications for the Foundation's first round of scholarships. This one, Felicity said, holding up a file. She reminds me of you. Parents using her credit cards, forcing her to support a deadbeat brother. Add her to the shortlist, I nodded, just as my phone buzzed with a news alert. Prominent couple pleads guilty in financial fraud case, the headline read. Daniel and Francesca to face sentencing next week. Robin's call came seconds later. They took the plea deal, 3 years plus full restitution. And Nash? Bankruptcy proceedings started yesterday. He's actually getting help. Real help, not just throwing money at his problems. I walked to the window, watching the Swiss Alps in the distance. Did you see the interview requests? 17 magazines, 3 major newspapers, and 2 documentary filmmakers, Robin confirmed. They're calling it the Trust Fund Revolution, how one woman's stand against financial abuse inspired a movement. Send them all to the Foundation's PR team, I said. Let's use the attention for something good. A knock at the door interrupted us. Mia Henderson, my grandmother's old friend, entered with a tablet. You need to see this, she said, pulling up a video. It was Nash, speaking at a financial literacy workshop. I was the golden child, he told the audience, the chosen one, and it destroyed not just me, but my sister. Don't let family loyalty become financial abuse. He's actually doing it, I whispered, teaching others from his mistakes. People can surprise you, Mia smiled. Eva always said that. My phone buzzed again, a message from my mother, her first since the guilty plea. The Foundation. It's what she would have wanted. I see that now. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges weren't meant to be rebuilt. First round of scholarship recipients goes public tomorrow, Felicity reminded me. 20 women, full funding for education or business ventures, plus mentorship, legal support and financial counselling, Robin added through the speaker. Everything you didn't have. I picked up a framed photo from the desk. Eva and me at my college graduation, the only family member who showed up. She'd known even then what I'd become. Ms. Grant, my assistant poked her head in. The documentary crew is here for the Foundation launch, and there's someone else. Nash stepped into the doorway, looking different, humbler, cleaner, clear-eyed. Hey, Sammy, he said quietly. I'm not staying. Just wanted you to have this. He handed me an envelope containing a cheque. Small, but clearly all he could afford. First restitution payment, he explained. Voluntary, not court-ordered. It's not much, but... Give it to the Foundation, I said. Help someone else's spare child. He nodded, understanding. You were never spare, you know. You were the strongest one of us all. After he left, I turned back to the scholarship applications. 20 women about to break free, with hundreds more applying every day. Eva would love this, Mia said, arranging papers on the desk. The spare child building an empire of liberation. My phone lit up with another message, from Quentin this time. Your grandmother left one last thing. A video message to be played only when you're ready. Are you ready? I looked around the study, at the scholarship files, the foundation plans, the growing movement we'd built from the ashes of financial abuse. Yes, I texted back. I'm ready. Moments later, Eva's face filled my screen. My darling girl, if you're watching this, you've done it. You've broken the cycle, built something new. Remember this, you were never spare. You were always the key, the one strong enough to set everyone free, including yourself. I'm so proud of the woman you've become. Felicity squeezed my hand as the video ended. She knew, all along. She did, I agreed, standing up. Now, let's go change some lives. The documentary crew waited in the grand hall, cameras ready to capture the Foundation's launch. But they weren't just filming a story about revenge or justice. They were filming the beginning of a revolution, one that started with a spare child who refused to be spare anymore. Ready? Robin asked through the phone. I thought about all the women waiting for their chance to break free, all the lives about to change. Ready? I smiled. Let's show them what the spare ones can do. Because sometimes the spare part isn't extra at all. Sometimes it's the piece that builds something entirely new. And I was just getting started.